What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and I'm back at it again to bring you 40 facts on the Warhammer 40k universe. This time, we will be diving into part 2 on the Master, Horus. Actually, he is a War Master. Sorry about that, guys. Because in 40k, there is only war. Well, anyway, we saw the first part, which was Good Guy Horus. Now let's get into his descent into madness and chaos. So without further ado, this is 40 Facts on Horus Lupercal Part 2. As the Imperial Warmaster, Horus took over command of the Great Crusade, and he accepted his new duties with earnest dedication. However, there was much dissension in the ranks of the Primarchs, as well as other parties in the Imperium, over the Emperor's decision to withdraw from the campaign and return to Terra, as well to reorganize the political administration of the Imperium under the Council of Terra, which was headed by his regent, Malcador the Sigillite. Only a handful of Primarchs, amongst them a scheming Logar, remained steadfast behind the Warmaster during this period of conflict. Horus also disagreed with many of the decrees passed by the newly established Council of Terra, a ruling body of imperial nobles and bureaucrats, which were intended to shift the burden of taxation and administration onto the newly conquered imperial compliant worlds. Even worse, Horus came to believe in his heart that he was failing his father, and that he was deeply wounded that the Emperor had revealed to none of the Primarchs, not even his most favored son, why he had secluded himself upon Terra, and the truth behind his secret imperial webway project. These seeds of bitterness, resentment, and frustration grew, and they would soon bear deadly fruit. The first chaplain Erebus of the Wordbearers was secretly in league with the forces of chaos, since they had been humiliated by the Emperor for their violations of the imperial truth on the world of Kur over 40 years before the start of the heresy. The Wordbearers, who originally had worshipped the Emperor as a god, and whose Primarch Logar had penned the Laetitia Divinatus before he turned against his father, following those events on Kur, had been brutally reprimanded for their constant erection of temples and shrines dedicated to the worship of the god Emperor. In the wake of his humiliation and the reprimand against his legion on Kur, Logar had sought to discover whether there truly were any divinities worthy of human worship, during a quest that became known as the Pilgrimage of Logar. During this journey, Logar entered the Eye of Terror and came face to face with the power of chaos, a force that he believed was truly divine and worthy of his service and the worship of all of mankind. He brought this faith to his legion, and soon all of the Astartes of the Wordbearers believed that the Chaos Gods were more worthy than their worship to the Emperor. With the guidance of the ruinous powers, Logar and the Wordbearers hatched their secret plans over the course of the next 4 decades to convert humanity to the service of the Dark Gods, beginning with Horus. After Logar placed his servant near Horus, Erebus slowly managed to twist the thinking of Horus against the Emperor and turned half of his Mournival, the Warmaster's most trusted advisors, towards the same path of treachery by exploiting their intense loyalty to their Primarch over that then more distant Emperor. This plot reached its climax on the moon of the Pharaoh world of Davin, where Horus was wounded during a struggle against Eugen Temba, the former planetary governor of Davin, who had rebelled against the Imperium following his corruption by chaos. An ancient Xenos artifact blade, sacred to Nurgle, known as the Kinnebrak Anathane, had been stolen by Erebus from the museum of an advanced human civilization called the Interax during the Luna Wolves' brief sojourn on the world of Xenopia, and they had been given this to them by Temba. Now Temba was a mutated servant of Nurgle and the chaos god of disease and decay. They managed to seriously wound the Warmaster with this corrupted blade. The apothecaries of the Luna Wolves Legion proved incapable of healing the Warmaster's wound, despite every form of advanced medical technology at their disposal. It seemed that Horus would surely die. Horus was then transported to a secret sect on Davin where a chaos cult said that they could heal his wounds. During the dark rituals that followed within this temple, Horus's spirit was transferred from his body into the immaterium. Here he bore witness to a nightmarish vision of the future. He saw the Imperium of Man as a repressive, violent theocracy, where the Emperor and several of his Primarchs, but not Horus, were worshipped as gods by the masses. The Dark Gods portrayed themselves as victims of the Emperor's psychic might, and they claimed that they had no real interest in the happenings of the material world. Magnus the Red, the sorceress Primarch of the Thousand Suns, had also traveled into the warp via sorcery to try and stop Horus from turning to chaos. Magnus explained that the Warmaster's vision was only one among many possible futures, but one that Horus alone could prevent. Horus, already jealous and resentful of the Emperor, proved too receptive to the ruinous power's false visions. The Chaos Gods' pact with Horus was simple. Give us the Emperor, and we will give you the galaxy. Driven by hate, jealousy, the desire for power, and anger at what he saw as his father's abandonment of him, Horus accepted the ruinous powers' offers. They healed his grievous wound and filled him with the powers of the warp. Renouncing his oath to the Emperor, Horus led his legion, renamed the Sons of Horus, into worship of the myriad Chaos Gods in the form of Chaos Undivided. He then sought to turn many of his fellow Primarchs to the service of Chaos, and succeeded with Angron, Fulgrim, and Mortarion. They were the first of many to follow, along with many regiments of the Imperial Army and several Titan legions of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Eventually, Horus was also able to secretly recruit to Chaos Conrad Kurz of the Night Lords, Alfarius Omegon of the Alpha Legion, and Perturabo of the Iron Warriors. Soon afterwards, Magnus the Red, who learned of Horus's betrayal, came to warn the Emperor, but due to a series of events, which you guys can learn if you hit on 40 Facts on Magnus the Red, the Emperor basically put all the blame on Magnus, which basically caused a turn of events that led to the Emperor sending the Space Wolves to attack Magnus and his Thousand Sons on Prospero, and eventually Magnus had no choice but to convert to Chaos. So yet another brother was sent to the chaotic forces under Horus. And that is where we will leave it off, guys. Please stay subscribed, for we will be continuing on the lore of Horus and his heresy. In part 3, we will cover basically the Isstvan III massacre, a bunch of battles, and everything leading up to the final battle on Terra. Let me know what you guys think about Horus so far. In my opinion, I really liked him before he turned evil or chaotic, whatever it is you want to call him. He was very noble. He was one of the best Primarchs ever. His color scheme was just badass. The white really struck home with me, which is why I kind of chose that color scheme to go with my Celestial Sons, my own personal Space Marine fan chapter. Anyway, guys, let me know what you would do if you were Magnus the Red. Would you have warned the Emperor even though you knew it was at the cost of so much? Or would you have kept quiet and tried to secretly take Horus out yourself? I know if I was Magnus, I would have used all my sorcery and trickery, because that's what sorcerers do, to basically get Horus in a position where I can take him out. Yes, Horus is empowered. Yes, he has the backing of all the 4 Chaos Gods. And yeah, I'll probably die, but I feel like this would probably help the rest of my Primarch brothers see how crazy Horus has gone. I mean, it's to the point that he's killing his own Primarchs. Anyway, guys, don't forget we do have a Patreon page, so head on over there where we post creepypastas and For the Greater Wars, as well as do giveaways over there. We do have a Instagram, a Twitter, and a Facebook page, so go like all that so you guys can be updated as to what is going on in our basically channel what we're doing, stuff like that. Anyway, I've rambled on far too long, so please like and share this video so everybody can know the epicness that is Horus Lupercal. As always, guys, I am the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I am signing out.